Don't fade me, bro. This is the WeWin Sports Podcast.
Hello, folks. Welcome to the WeWin Sports Podcast. Today, we'll give our 30-second rants, and then we'll give our pick of the weeks. Happy New Year, first of all, everybody. David Woodley is basically a professional sports bettor with great knowledge and sharp takes. My guy, Brendan Cantu, has some well-thought-out takes in the lowdown on the Kelsey-verse. Mike the Mouth Madison knows sports and studies the NFL at least 30 hours per week. Folks, this podcast is falling apart. First, Cantu watches a football game while we're recording. I was expecting Cantu to sabotage the podcast, but not yet. I expect Cantu to sabotage the podcast when we have millions of listeners and millions of dollars rolling in. It's much too early for a Cantu sabotage. You can't make this up. In a fit of anger brought on by some teasing in our text stream, David Woodley rage quit the podcast again. Woodley, what is going on over there?
Well, I never quit the podcast. I believe I blocked you for fake news, but we made up. Here's the thing, though. You know, I sit here all year eating shit from Mike about the Vikings, and they haven't beat anybody, so they beat them. And then last week, I hear it from all you guys with my Darnold as good or better than Love take, and Woodley, don't worry, we'll talk after the game after Love kills him. Well, there's not a single person on the planet. Well, there's one that would actually now say that Love is a better QB this year than Darnold, and that person is Phil, because Phil actually can't admit it. Phil, you know what Phil's responsible thing is? Well, we'll see in the playoffs if they play again. Well, they're not going to play again, Phil, because here's what's going to happen. The Vikings are going to beat the Lions. Darnold's going to have a first-round bye, and your boy toy Jordan Love is going to get smoked by the Eagles. And so then I guess this will go on for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Darnold will continue to win, and you're going to sit there with like a single flame, like the people, like when people went to World War II and the wives had a flame in their window hoping they'd come back. Like that's Phil. He's going to have the candle waiting for Jordan Love to outplay Sam Darnold somehow. But I'm vindicated. I mean, listen, it's
Stop, Woodley. Stop. The people can go and they can listen to the last few podcasts. All I said is, if you had to choose a quarterback right now, would you take Love or would you take Darnold? The three of us said Love, and then you got very upset. Now, are you saying that Darnold's had a better year than Love? Yes, but we have a lot of counterpoints to that. Okay, fair enough. Good response. Cantu.
No counterpoints.
No okay, I'm going to ask you again right now in front of the whole world. If you had to choose a quarterback,
I would take him. Absolutely, I would, for the next 3, 4, 5 years. Absolutely, without a doubt, and without a doubt.
Okay, so again, you said you didn't say this. So if you have a draft right now, you're drafting Darnold above Love.
I would right now, yeah, especially for last.
Okay,
week.
So
last
I'll
week
take
it was
Love.
On the fence.
I'll take Love, and I think it's kind of obvious, but. Let's go to Cantu. Who do you draft right now?
It's Love. It's not even close. Justin Jefferson is just so good. I mean, so good. He's the, I think the best receivers I've ever seen are Randy Moss, Jefferson. What's the Lions receiver? I'm just drawing a blank on his name.
Brown. Oh, Megatron.
Yeah, Megatron. There's my three right there, and then fourth is a little close, but. Not even, I mean, he just gets to throw to Addison, Hawkins. I mean, it's just so nice. It's just easy.
And Woodley keeps saying the offensive line is the 22-second best. I wanted to go back and count how many seconds he had on each throw. And I didn't do it because I got lazy. But I mean, it was incredible. 4 or 5 seconds. That's unheard of.
They did. They
wait,
Woodley,
good. Woodley, you can't talk over the top. We got to go to Mike.
Right.
Mike,
he had yeah.
Who do you choose if you have to draft a quarterback right now, Darnold or Love?
Well, I mean, I could be wrong here, but I think Love has more talent. But Darnold, I think you're really underrating Darnold. I mean, you got to give the guy credit. Yes, he's got the best receiver I've ever seen. Addison is also a top 10 receiver. But he's making the throws, dude, and he's got a great offensive line.
And a great running back. I mean,
listen. Let's just put it this way. I mean, yeah, they lost by 2, but the Vikings fucking took a fucking can of whoop ass to fucking Love. Love had 64 yards, going into those last 2 drives. And if the coach wasn't an idiot when he's up by 17 to blitz every down, I mean, I don't know if they ever get back in the game. I just don't understand. Why would you blitz every down up 17?
Okay, Woodley, you can have the last word on this.
Yeah.
Woodley, the last word on this.
clarify.
So that's the terminology I used last week and 2 weeks ago and 3 weeks ago. I think you were clearly wrong those weeks. Now you have a better argument where we at least have to think about it. But is there anything you want to say to wrap this up? And while you're at it, at the end of your defense, give us your number 1 pick.
Yeah, well, surprise. No, it's, to be clear, it's not that I think like Darnold is like a top 5 quarterback moving forward. I think he's top 10. I mean, I think without a doubt, I think he's top 5 this year. I think he's like top 10-ish next year. I don't think Love is particularly that great. I think it's pretty close. But again, like, give me the guy that is throwing less interceptions. Give me the guy that's making the throws and all that. And I will point out, though, the stats don't lie. Like, that offensive line, like, isn't great. They looked really good against the Packers. I don't know what the Packers are doing there. That defense, like, I don't know why they weren't trying to exert more pressure on him or whatever. But, like,
because they didn't believe in Darnold.
He played like about as perfect of a game as you could.
He really did.
I mean,
he did.
This week, it's funny. I want people to look over 2 things with Darnold. One, he was like 30-1 comeback player of the year before the season, and everybody thought it was crazy. Not old Woodley here. And then it's really funny. You've been watching that throughout the year. For a while, they're like, oh, they changed the rules or the voting guidelines where Darnold can't win it because they don't want a Flacco type thing. Someone has to come back from an injury. But then a week ago, they reclarified it, and they said if people vote for Darnold, they're not going to throw those votes out. So he went from 10-1 to plus 130 overnight. So if they beat the Lions, he's going to win that.
Burrow's the fucking lock for comeback player of the year. How can
you can get it for minus 180 then, Mike? You should do it.
Burrow's a favorite, right?
I have both at this point, but it's the other thing with him too is like he just got named to a Pro Bowl. Right. I don't know if he's the starter or not, but it's pretty close. I mean, it's hard. It's not just me sitting on here, like pumping him up. I mean, he's done a lot of good and yeah, they have Jefferson and Addison, but like you still have to make the throws. I mean, it is the NFL. I mean, he's
not Darnold. Darnold doesn't have to make good throws. I watched him throw it behind Jefferson's back and Jefferson just one hand grabs the fucking ball. That was, by the way, it will go down as a no because it was a holding penalty, but that's like the best catch I've ever seen anybody make in the history of the game.
Talking about last year against the Bills where he goes like this, he throws it over.
No, can't do. Maybe you didn't see the game. You were at Jerry's bar drinking. Yeah. But yeah, that catch he made, it didn't count as an official catch, but it was just, so it was the best non-catch ever.
The Bills one's his best catch.
The Bills one last year, though. The Bills ones last year was like insane though, and that was like on 4th and 13 or something too. I mean, it had all that. So yeah.
How about Darnold short armed the game winning fucking throw and somehow the guy caught it? Like
that's true.
After the game, it was funny.
Let me tell you, I'm going to tell you guys exactly who Sam Darnold is right now, and I'm going to beat Woodley to all of his counterpoints. Sam Darnold is Alex Smith. They're the same guy. The only reason that Woodley's going to say is like,
you're wrong.
He throws
you're
deep
wrong.
downfield. Yeah, because he has Jefferson and Addison. That's the only reason.
Alex Smith can never throw down the field. What are you talking about?
Darnold doesn't make big mistakes, or he hasn't made that many big mistakes.
Alex Smith, who was underrated, didn't have the deep ball like that, and he never put up a season anywhere.
Alex Smith made it 16 years in the NFL.
Yeah, but he never had the deep ball. He was good. He was a great quarterback, but he could never throw the ball.
They remind me of each other. They remind me of each other.
It kind of reminds me of like when Brady got what's his name? Moss. Like Brady never had the deep ball until he had Moss, and then he was And his whole career, he was basically like, I mean, a better version of Alex Smith,
Yeah. No, if you want to compare the season A1, look at 2 other ones that they were there for. Like they had one huge season for the Vikings, and Keenum doesn't count because he didn't actually do that much. But like Randall Cunningham in '98, same deal, and Brett Favre in I think it was like 2013. 10, yeah, 10. Someone said 14 earlier. I was like, it's 10, because it's the 09 or 09 and 10, whatever. So it's real. But anyways, to head into the pick, it's obviously the Vikings. I don't know how they're like field goal dog on this. I can't
believe it's 3. It went back to 3. It went to 2.5, and now it's back at 3.
There's like nothing there's no reason why it should be that. I mean, I don't know how you could look at
I agree.
nutcase. Yes. I don't know.
Let me
I don't
promote
know
my
how you-
nutcase milk.
Yeah, for a nutcase sake. I don't know how you could look at this game and say that. I mean, this game should be like a pick 'em. Like it's
I agree.
you know,
I'm
yeah,
with you.
if Detroit is fully healthy, sure, I see 3 or 4. But like
They're
dude,
3 or
come
4.
on,
They're
like,
healthy. How could they be 3 with what? Did you see that
Love the
defense last
Vikings.
week? Like
Yeah,
honestly, they can't even stop Purdy, who was. I mean, the Frisco's offense had averaged 9 points a game in the last 3 weeks, and they went up and down the field on Detroit,
Yeah,
and
they
down
were-
the field.
And I want to bring this up because there was a lot of talk around this. You know, it was like that was a meaningless game for Detroit, and they played everybody, and they got in a slugfest. The Niners played them hard.
The
and like,
Niners
yeah,
hit
nobody
hard
really-
too.
Nobody got injured, right? So like everyone's like, it's like all good.
Yeah.
It's now a short week. They played Monday Night Football, right?
Yeah.
It's not so it's a short week for them.
Yep, that's a
it's
good
leading into
point.
the biggest game in regular season franchise history for them, arguably the Vikings too. And it's week 18. Like it's absurd to say like why you would not want a bye week. I mean, by this theory, like if Campbell wants these guys playing every week, he should just lose this game on purpose, right? Like if a bye week, if resting his
Well,
starters
it was
is
all
that
about
bad,
revenge against Frisco. They had it circled.
This is for
But
sure
who
the
cares?
biggest game
Like,
for the Lions
it-
since the Ford family invented
but-
like the Ford car. I mean, this
yeah,
is
but who?
No.
who
Biggest
cares? Who
regular
cares
season
about-
game.
yeah,
Yeah,
biggest,
remember
that's what I'm
they
saying, biggest regular season.
Yeah, they were out here. I remember they played the Niners. I went to the Niners Packers game with one of the team owners last year. I got a brag in. Oh, and nutcase milk. Go ahead, Cantu.
But last thing, I couldn't believe when he kept the starters in that long that whole game. So I mean, it's like this should be a pick 'em. It's gonna be a close game. I'm not sitting here saying like Vikings are gonna blow them out. It's gonna be a great game, but this game is gonna come down to turnovers because like both
It's going to
teams.
come down to who hits it's going to come down to who hits or makes and misses field goals too.
Yeah.
I think.
First off,
Yeah,
Okay.
and turnovers. They're very evenly matched, right? So it's like, who do you trust more, Goff or Darnold? And like before the season, Goff, but like Darnold, the past 7 games, 18 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. One of those interceptions
Dude,
was like a
hold
throwaway
it.
on a fourth down.
Goff is 6-1, 17 touchdowns, 1 pick the last 7.
They're
So,
close. That's what I'm saying. I'm saying before
Yeah.
you would have said Goff in a landslide.
Okay.
It's pretty close.
It's
like
close.
you know, who you
Closer.
want.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's
Woodley,
that's
as
why I like
much
the
as we've
Vikings. It's a
teased
pick
you,
'em.
your Vikings are 14-2,
Yeah.
which is incredible. And you've proved us wrong at every stop. We're still arguing the ultimate talent between the two quarterbacks. We need to move on from that, though. And we're going to go. Cantu, will you please stand up? I want to see the fucking jersey.
Oh,
Who is it?
Yeah, so this is a
that
Browns,
Browns?
jersey. I had a friend
Yeah.
a few years ago. I've never worn it. It was the first time out. I got my own personalized Cantu
Wow,
Browns
flag.
jersey. I had a friend that took me to a Browns backer bar. This is 3 or 4 years ago, and they were really bad at this time, whatever year it was. And I go, and it was the most depressing backer bar I've ever been to. When you go, like they were up like late, like 10-7, and they're like, oh, we're gonna lose. Everybody's like, oh, we're gonna lose. Don't worry about it. But man, they were going crazy. I've never seen a more depressed fan base. It was so fun. I actually had more fun listening to the negativity than like going. It was just a lot of fun. So I figured today, when the Browns are 20-point underdogs, I better pull out the Browns jersey.
They're 20. They're
I
20.
love it.
Oh my
So
God.
much
It was
pain.
17.5 this morning.
Well, it's
Now
20 now.
Now, Cantu, you love the Vikings.
I do. I've actually really turned into a Vikings fan. Woodley has actually turned me into a Vikings fan.
It's like Woodley red-pilled us if you're a Democrat, and you get red-pilled.
Yeah.
It's like he's purple-pilled us.
Yeah, we've been purple pilled. We talk about him, it seems like, for
Purple people eaters.
Yep, for a majority of
Here.
every podcast. They're the topic of conversation. Now I'm a fan of them. And when I look at this line, I still see that the Vikings have been disrespected. That I think at least me, Phil, and Woodley agree that they've been disrespected every single week. And I think they're being disrespected again. I also think Dan Campbell is going to pay big. Not only was that, there was a stat last year where I couldn't remember. Do you remember when anytime like a team after they played the 49ers against the spread, they were like, 0-14.
Yeah.
There was some crazy
Yeah,
spread.
but that's when they had a physical defense. They scored on every
Hey,
possession, dude.
They still
Every
got
possession.
Warner out there. They had Bosa out there. There's some hard hitters out there. And It's just not a
They
team.
never.
It's
They,
not a team.
they
that-
never punted. They never punted. They scored at every
They have
possession.
no-
That's okay.
They
Like,
have
look,
no depth.
But look,
no depth.
that's
Yeah.
okay. But that takes a toll on you when you score every possession. Yeah, they're playing it like they're in the playoffs. You would have thought that was the NFC championship game last night, how the Lions were playing, or the other day, how they were playing. I just think it's going to really backfire. They wasted too much emotional energy. The NFL is all about needing that 1 week off. That's why it doesn't matter. All these real shit teams will come off of a bye when they've had the 1 week off. And all of a sudden you're like, why are they favorites against pick out the team? That's what's going to happen here. And I don't think they're being punished enough for kind of an emotional win. I mean, you don't want to see them have an emotional win. Like
Teams off a bye this year were 10-19, by the way, in case you wanted to know.
Well, let me just say this though, Mike. Like the good teams, like you look at the Ravens, they came off that bye and their defense was somehow fixed.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
But that's against,
you look
really
at the
but
rank.
Mike, that's against the
There's a bunch of
spread.
teams this happened to.
Yeah.
That's against the spread. And yeah, maybe against the spread because the spread's they're already putting points
Yeah,
into it.
It's built in.
It's
Yeah,
built in.
it's built
That's
in.
why that's not a fair stat here. I think this game between the Vikings and the Lions is truly the Super Bowl. No, I'm not saying it's the Super Bowl. I'm trying to like think of the perfect words for it. I think it's that important. I think you've got to
biggest game
win
of the
this game. Both teams need a week off. Like that week off of rest is going to be so big. Getting the both home fan bases are going to be like really rocked and jacked up.
Mikey?
This game is so big. So,
All right, here we go.
and I'll take the Vikings. Go ahead.
I'm gonna tell you right now, I am a believer in this Detroit offense. Okay, now the thing is, and I'm being honest. Like, I know I'm fucking gonna.
We knew you're being honest, Mike.
I'm
That's not
taking
your
the-
problem.
I'm taking the three.
Mike's
I'm taking the three. Oh my God, run. I'm taking the three, but honestly, would it shock me if Detroit won the game 40-4 to 42? No, it wouldn't. One bit. You know, I know that, but see, I think the defense of the Vikings is
good.
way better. I mean, it's got holes on the passing side, okay? But it's like Woodley was saying a couple weeks ago, well, most of those stats are when they have a big lead. And I watched it last week. They couldn't get a yard. They got up by 17. But why is the coach blitzing every down up 17? You're supposed to play coverage. And I thought the coaching staff really, and then Darnold throwing where they got the interception. Like, I think he let them back in the game. I thought that the coach was bad. He let them back in the game. But if the Viking defense just plays well in the first half, and I don't know. I think the Detroit defense right now, with all the injuries, is 10x worse than the Bengals, who have the worst defense in the league. And so I think he knows every fucking possession is going to be. I think Dan Campbell's going to play 4 downs every possession because he knows it's the only way he can win. And if they execute correctly, they're going to have a chance. If they don't, you're going to watch them lose like they did, like when they were down 12 to Buffalo, and they ended up winning by 2, but it really wasn't that close.
Okay, guys, I'm going to comment on this
Detroit,
game.
though, right?
No,
Detroit?
I'm
He's
taking
taking Minnesota.
I'm taking Minnesota plus
okay.
the 3.
All
But it wouldn't shock me if Detroit won the game. I don't know how they're going to win by more than. I mean, what is like Cantu, my little kittens, me and Ben a defense is going to stop that. I mean, Vikings should be able to score every time.
I gotta say this, I mean, there's a real part of me that wants to go with Detroit. They're just such killers. But man, those injuries, and I think Mike influenced me, and man, it's bad when Mike influences you because he just oh my God, yeah. Mike is like, they can't stop the Niners. They can't stop look at this defense. Mike's in our chat.
Purdy made 2 terrible throws. They scored on every possession, Frisco.
Yeah, and Mike was right because Detroit's defense looked horrendous last week. And the Vikings, when it counts, I agree, they look great, and I hate to do it, but I have to go with the Vikings. I'm going to have to take the 3 points. And but there's just a part of me that says if Detroit's at full strength, it's different. But they're not at full strength, and I think that Minnesota's going to score 35 points. And I just don't think that. I think that their defense is good enough to hold this fantastic team maybe to 24 points. So 35-24.
Oh, I'll take over 24 with Detroit. Detroit's going to score 30 for sure.
You know the Vikings both outside linebackers are starting in the Pro Bowl this year. I mean, it's like that linebacking core is like insane, and they got a cornerback on there too. And I nailed it last week. I mean, Mike saw it. Like, yeah, they for some reason they get up and they get like really
okay,
stupid.
Woodley. We've heard enough about the goddamn Vikings. Danny, post it. It's a unanimous pick. Unanimous pick.
And Phil, I'm even gonna go one step further on just a last quote. I got the Vikings winning the Super Bowl. Said it.
Wow.
Long shot. I know it's not the favorite. Obviously, we go down. It's my secret pick. I think they're gonna do it.
I don't.
Okay, guys, here we go.
If they win this
They
week,
gotta
man,
win
like,
this week.
it's a great pick. Yeah.
I'm going to make my number one pick right now. And I don't know, the line keeps jumping a little bit. So I really like the Packers. They need a win. They need to move up. It really matters who they play if they win versus not win. They're hosting their rivals, the Bears. The Bears just haven't looked good. What did the Bears have to play for? It's a rivalry game.
This would have been a great pick at 8.5. It just moved to 10. I liked them at 8.5 too.
So I bet this at 9.5, but yeah, I see it's at 10 right now. I think the Packers they need this win. And they're coming off of a loss, which I think, they lost to the Vikings, and the Packers have just beaten a lot of bad teams by a lot of points. Give me the Packers minus 9.5 at Lambeau Field in the frozen tundra. All right. What say you guys?
I if you could get a 9.5, I like it. But I can't lay 10. The Bears are done. I mean, they've given up. I mean, they lost the fucking. They lost. I mean, last week was one of my big picks. I laid 3.5 with Seattle, but they held the Bears to 3, and I lost somehow. Because that's just what I do. Here's the 3 ball. You lose. I held the Rams to. I was getting 3.5 in the teaser with San Francisco 2 weeks ago. I held the Rams to 9. I lost 9-3.
Mike, what was the score last week between the Seahawks and the Bears?
9-6.
6-3. 6-3.
Oh, 6. Was it 6-3 or 9-6?
6-3.
6-3.
I think it was 6-3.
Yeah, it was
6-3. And I scored 3 points with Seattle on the very first drive of the game to be up 3-0.
And somehow that was one of my favorite games of the year. You ever see when the games are so low scoring? I got to tell you why it was one of my favorite games of the year. I'm like, okay, there's 5 minutes, 27 seconds left. You guys really vision this. The Bears start. They weren't even like at their own. I can't remember. Their own whatever. They have all 3 timeouts. They couldn't get into field goal range by the time the clock expires. I mean, they're at 5:27, a 2-minute warning, 3 timeouts, and
with
they go short.
3 timeouts.
I've never seen that. That's insane.
They don't use their timeout. The coach was like, "Oh, I need to." All he had to do is use a timeout there. He would have got like 30 extra seconds to pick up 6 yards.
Horrendous clock management. Horrendous.
I started saying that with 3 minutes to go. I'm like, I said to my friend next to me, I go, they're going to somehow run out of time. I was saying this the whole way. I go, Caleb Williams, you wouldn't even realize. I said, I think I put it in our group chat. I don't think the Bears even knew there was a clock in the game. Like, he was so slow going to
35 seconds left. The most obvious timeout call ever.
Easiest timeout
and he
ever.
goes and he spends like 12 seconds, like hiking the ball.
12. He spent 27 seconds.
You want to really like take the wind out of your sails. Like the Bears actually played decent last week. You want to talk about taking your wind out of your sails? Get beat up by that media.
They played decent. They scored 3 points. Can't do.
Well, I'm saying
they
played
couldn't have been that good.
On defense.
Yeah.
They played decent
Well,
on
because
defense.
their Seattle team sucks. Their fucking offense has been bad all year.
They decided not to let Geno take any chances. Like, it was like all the safest plays, which I don't blame them. But I think that was their whole week or season last week. I think the Bears get blown out. I'll take the Packers.
So Cantu and I like the Packers. Mike said
I like the Packers. If you get 9.5 at 10, it's just a no bet. But I think they win.
All right, Woodley.
Well, I think it is big for them, kind of, but they're locked into the 7th seed unless if Washington beats Dallas, like Green Bay is locked into the 7th seed. So it's still important.
But they play at the same time, right?
Yeah, they play at the same time. I mean, they're gonna try. I don't know if it makes a big difference there. The Bears are like the toughest team out there to figure out. I mean, you're talking about a team that like They could have won that game
terrible.
at Seattle, and like Mike can say all he wants, but that they going to Seattle, or no, sorry, that wasn't Chicago. Never mind. They could have beat Seattle, who was okay. Like Seattle was playing for, I guess, their lives in theory at that point. And then they should have beat the Commanders. They should have beat the Lions on like Thanksgiving. Like the Bears have like they beat the Rams.
but
Bears
the last
have,
4
like,
starts they've been terrible.
They've been horrible ever since. Coach. And...
So the question is it's. I mean, it's 10. Like, it's not 9.5. I mean, it's like Phil got in there, and he got in there then.
Yeah, I can't.
So it's like I lean towards like none, but I guess like for the sake of this, I would just say the Bears, because it is like a huge rival. Like, it's going back a huge rivalry game.
It is a big.
It's
rivalry.
not necessarily like a must win for Green Bay. It kind of is, but like it's they're looking forward to the playoffs. Like it's the Packers will win, but 10 to lot.
There are some interesting scenarios that exist there, Woodley. Like, let's just say that Washington's up like 40-0 going into the second half, and the Packers are like, wait a minute, we're locked in now. We can't start Love. We can't do it. We can't, we need to rest a lot of players. Interesting things could happen. Okay, it's time
that's it. That's exactly, like, if it was winning in, I would take the Packers, but because it's like smaller chance, and the other thing, these week 18 games too, and I don't know if we're gonna talk about this Browns game because it's so insane, but like there's a lot of players like playing for contracts and stuff there too. So like on that Bears team, it's not like, I know like it's just a theory, nothing to play for. Like these teams come out and ball. Like there's like a lot of players that have come out and made a lot of money based on week 18. Like think of Matt Flynn, Phil, like your boy Matt Flynn at Green Bay. You remember like a long time ago, probably 15 years ago, he came out. They benched Rodgers. He threw for 4 touchdowns.
He put up like 10 touchdowns or some crazy amount.
Seattle gave him like a big contract, and he never started the game for him because they drafted Wilson. But he made like $40 million. So like, keep that in mind with the rest of these games, and we'll talk about that in a minute with my number 2. But
I have a number 1 pick that I truly believe cannot lose. And
oh boy,
I know you're gonna all laugh at me when I say this.
We sure are. The Titans.
Okay?
Here comes the Titans.
No,
Mike's gotta give us the Titans. Please give us.
Here come the Patriots.
No,
it's a team. It's a team that lost by 26 last week.
Oh, Panthers.
And I really believe Rodgers is going to be his last start. He wants to get that 500th touchdown. He wants to get it to Devontae Adams. Miami is starting Hundley. Okay, I just cannot see Hundley, a 1-point favorite on the road against a Jet team that's playing for everything. Like, it's his last game. It could be his last game. He wants the 500 touchdown. They're coming off a big loss where they were actually in the game until the couple of the early in the game. It was 12-0. They play everybody close. It's one thing to beat the fucking Browns 20-3. It's another who quit, who had a fucking quarterback that my cat could be better than. Okay, so I give me the 1 point with the Jets. I know the Jets have lost every time I've taken them this year, but this time, if Hundley goes in there, there's this record cold temperature coming to the East Coast.
What temperature?
It's going to be like. It's supposed to be like -5 and a wind chill factor of -15. And they just don't win in cold weather.
Mike, can you do the Charles Barkley, Mike, and say, I guarantee
the Jets beat Miami.
There we go.
First of all, I live, that is fake news. I live 8 minutes from the stadium.
I love the weather
all right,
reports.
You can see that? I live 8 minutes from the stadium, all right?
Yeah.
On Sunday, it's a low of 26, all right? That is not -5.
What
about
after
wind
chill? What about after wind chill?
What's the wind chill?
There's like some bomb fucking cyclone, crazy cold weather going all the way across the whole entire country.
Let's place a bet on the over/under low temperature during
game. Okay, so
let's
with wind chill, it's 26 with a wind chill going to be what, 18? They still never win in fucking. They never win under 30 degrees. I don't want any number. I want the fucking Jets.
Okay, Woodley, comment on the game. Forget the weather. You made your points.
Yeah. So he said the Jets have everything to play for. Not mentioning that Miami has everything to play for.
Correct.
Because Miami actually is very much alive for
they are, but Hundley is not
30% to make the playoffs.
No way does Hundley fucking put up enough points.
If Rodgers in the 500 touchdown he wants it, well, he could have got the 500 touchdown last week. Okay. And like he didn't get it then. It came out that him and Adams are both gone. Like yeah, he might want that touchdown. I mean, that I don't know how you could look at the Jets team and say like they give a shit. I mean, they're like they don't have anything to play for. Like Rodgers probably will be back next year. Like he'll convince someone. And as much as I hate on him and called that he would ruin this team, like he's still better than like some of the guys that will be starting week 1 next week or next year.
100%.
He's
that's
played
right,
well
Woodley.
7 of the last 8 weeks. Last week
That's
was
what I
really
think. He's
bad.
played well 7 out of
bad
8 weeks.
game
That's
he
what I
had.
think.
He'll get a thing. So I think
He might be the 10th best quarterback.
I mean,
which
if Tua plays, I don't want nothing to do with it. But they
Phil,
say
he's
that
had a
Tua's
bad-
not going to play.
He's not 10. You can make an argument for like 20-ish, and I think if he was focused, maybe 10, but he's not. He's totally not focused. Like he's out of there. Like they're not trying to really win. Like so Miami has everything to play for, and like Phil hates Hundley and all this, but the thing is like Tua's not that great. Like Mike thinks Tua is like this great player that's worth like 1 million points, and
he's better than the replacement.
I think against that piece of shit Jet defense, Tua would
we all love Tua.
Yeah,
but I don't think
I
don't think Hundley will. So,
but give me Miami. I mean, it's literally like definition of must-win game for them. The Jets don't have to do anything, and it's
Woodley would take Darnold over
Tua.
Tua, but the rest of us would take Tua over Darnold. Go ahead, Cantu.
That's insane. That's insane.
I would not take
way.
Tua over Darnold. Too injury prone. If he gets one more fucking concussion,
if the injury stuff disappeared, but
yeah,
go
but
ahead.
if he gets one more concussion, he's done.
Yeah,
I
RG3. That's the injury thing. Come on, like
with wind chill, I
injuries.
fact checked it. It's going to be between 12 and 27 with the wind chill, windy night.
27.
Yeah, 12 and 27. I mean, it's a range. They don't know exactly, where the wind's going to be. So I'm going to go. This is why the Dolphins never make runs in the playoffs. They're in this hot city. They always got to go play these cold places. It feels, I've said this a million times, but it's going to feel ice cold on the whole team. I hate Dolphins in any cold weather game. Love the Jets here. I do kind of agree Aaron Rodgers is going to give it a real good try here. Close it out. Maybe, hopefully get some suitors for next year. Get some good hype behind him.
He said that this is probably there's a good chance it could be his last start ever. So
yeah. By the way, I have one more question for you guys. What's wrong with Tua right now? I didn't see I know he's been out the last couple of weeks, but I don't know what's wrong with him.
A hip injury.
A hip.
Will he be back if they do somehow make the playoffs? Will he be back?
Yeah. Well, they said that it's a dangerous that he needs. It takes 2 to 3 weeks to recover, and if they were to make the playoffs, he'd be back. And he could be back this week. They said so.
Yeah. I mean, all right. I'll say this.
No, it's the Miami thing. The Miami thing. Like Mike listens to Fezzik on it because Fezzik talks about that. But like all this talk, this happened last year when they went in, or 2 years ago when they went into like Buffalo and it was like -10. They almost beat Buffalo, right? I mean, this is and it's also not Tua. Tua is bad in cold weather. Like this Hundley kid. Like I think people make too much of it. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, I'm going to say that if Tua starts, which we don't think so, we think he's out. Then I'm going to have to go with the Dolphins. But I'm just a little bit on Mike's side. It could be Rodgers' last start. He's auditioning to start for someone else next year because he's gone. So he's going to be trying his hardest. And Adams is going to show up because he's a pro. So, but to me, this is like a no bet. All right, Cantu. First of all, give us your number 1 pick. And then just give me the name first.
Oh, by the way, I've been talking about this forever. Bengals. Oh, I love this Bengals team. They are red hot. I think
Danny, post all of our number 1 picks. Go ahead, Cantu.
Yeah, I'm looking right now just to see what the current line is.
I saw 1.5 last night.
I saw 2.
There's 1.5 at MGM right now. So it's 1.5. Bengals, they're going to be at the Steelers. I think the Bengals are a much better team than the Steelers. I know that's going to come with some harsh criticism. I think they're a much better team, even though they're going at Pittsburgh, which is a tough place to play. This game's going to be in prime time on Saturday night too. I think Joe Burrow is going to be ready. He's hungry. He's talking about, I'm reading articles this week where he's talking about he's going to be MVP. They're not going to give it to him this year. Didn't win enough games. I think he wants it. I think he wants to be in the spotlight. I've told everybody, don't let the Bengals sneak into the playoffs, and they're only 4 or 5%. I just have this crazy feeling they're going to get in. I know 5% isn't much.
Well, no, it's very simple. We can lay it out for the viewers at home.
Your play of the game should be plus 10.5 on
if Miami
Kansas
loses,
City.
And if Denver, who plays the Chiefs, lose, then Bengals need to win and they're in. So we looked at, it's just a fact check, it was 4.7% at some sites that they'd make it. Cantu, I love the pick. And I think Pittsburgh has a fantastic defense, and I think the Bengals have no defense at all. But this Joe Burrow, man, the way he's been delivering the ball, 4,600 yards, like this is a banner year for him. Every other person that's had the year he's had has won MVP. And I think that even against the Steelers defense, he's going to somehow get that extra quarter second and just throw the ball all over the field.
At their own fucking 14-yard line, he got him to jump off sides. You got to be kidding me.
By the way, the Bengals defense the last few weeks has actually been playing not bad defense. They didn't play bad defense against the Broncos. They really controlled that game like up and down. I mean, field goal kickers missing another OT field goal. They still win, but
it's impressive, the Bengals, too. They've been playing kind of for nothing all these weeks, and they just keep winning.
Is it they won 5 in a row or 6 in a row? I think this would be 6, I think. This would be 6 in a row. It'd be tough to not make the playoffs and win 6 in a row to end the season. So hoping they get a little luck, because that is going to be my sleeper to make it to the Super Bowl once they get in.
Not so fast. So I'm going to do a spoiler. Like Mike and Phil are definitely taking the Bengals here because they talk all year about how great the Bengals are.
I'm not taking no Bengals. You know that. Fuck that.
Oh, you're going to take the Steelers? Oh, you're a Steelers fan now. I forgot that. All right, go, Phil. Take your Bengals. Take your precious Bengals.
He hates the Steelers. If he's picking the Steelers, he must see something.
No. I just don't think the Bengals. I think that they played fucking. They won 4 in a row. They played 3 of the worst fucking teams in the NFL. Right? I don't see where. Like I watched Pittsburgh just with their. I mean, Russell Wilson's been terrible. The only game he's looked good is against the Steelers. He lit him up for
44 like 4 or the Bengals. Yeah, 44 points. Yeah,
and the defense hasn't gotten any better. I mean, they're still giving up to the worst teams in the league, 24. I just don't. The Steelers need this game. If they win this game, they're the 5 seed. They have to play that dog shit Houston. If they lose the game, if they lose this game, they got to play the Bills. I mean,
wow. They don't play the Bills, so they would go. It's even worse at the Ravens. No, I should have went first.
No, the 7 seed. They could drop to the 6. You're right. They dropped to the 6.
Yeah, they'd be the 6. They have everything to play for. That's what going into this game. A lot of the conversation has been, well, the Bengals have everything to play for. The Steelers. Well, first of all, it's bullshit. These teams are rivals. I mean, the Steelers hate the Bengals. Like they still remember. Of course they do. And all those other scumbags since he had, and Tomlin was the coach back then and all that. So, I mean, this is fresh. They put up 44 against the Bengals in Cincy. The Steelers have to win. I mean, this game is massive for them. Like they will be favored if they go at Houston. They will probably beat Houston. I don't want to say they have no chance going into Baltimore, but man, I mean, Baltimore, that's tough. So, I mean, they're going to be coming out and playing. It's at Pittsburgh. It's at night. Everybody is on the Cincy because everybody thinks it's Cincy. And I get storyline, like Cincy winning will be fun because it makes those other 2 games pretty interesting, other teams, even though I don't.
The fucking Cincinnati's defense, there's only one worse right now, and that's Detroit because of all the injuries. But I just want to stop hearing about
Cincy. Like,
I've
never heard of a team that's been so mediocre.
Their offense is good.
They have 2 great players and a bunch of bullshit, and I've never heard anybody
hype
them up so much.
No, Mike, you said you like Pittsburgh in this, right?
We both do. I really want Cincy to win, but I just don't see it.
Okay,
I just don't see it.
Mike, not so fast. My number 2 pick is the Cincinnati Bengals. Woodley, I'm sorry, you're going to have to hear more about Cincy. It's been really a fun theme on our text stream that Cantu and I keep really saying you really do not want to face Cincinnati in the playoffs.
They busted me this year. Every time I bet them, they lost, and every time I bet against them, they won. So
yeah, they were a tough team.
Yeah, tough team to handicap. But I will tell you this, Cincinnati, it has been fun to discuss them. And Woodley, I know you're sick of hearing about them. And it might be Saturday night at around midnight or whatever on the East Coast. We'll never have to talk about Cincinnati again this season, Woodley. But not so fast. It's not over yet.
It's like, listen, I was talking with David Baker, and I was listening to some other podcasts or some other shows, and they're right. Like, people are like, Kansas City doesn't want Cincinnati in the playoffs. They're dangerous. Well, let me ask you something. Who would you want the Buffalo Bills playing in first round? Cincinnati has beaten the Bills like 4 out of 5. You want the Bills are the biggest threat to the Kansas City fucking Chiefs. So who do you want in? If you want fucking Cincinnati to play that game against Buffalo, or do you want Denver? Okay, with a rookie quarterback, right? They want Cincinnati. Cincinnati owns the Bills.
Buffalo would be an oh man, Buffalo does not want to
What
see
a
it.
So I'm sick of hearing
No, they
Kansas
don't.
City's scared of Cincinnati in the playoffs. Hell no, they want them in the playoffs to knock out Buffalo. They're not scared of Cincinnati.
Okay,
They'd rather
guys.
face
We,
Cincy anyways. Yeah.
we've discussed this game already because Cantu and I both picked it as our number 2 pick. So now we're going to go to Mikey or Woodley for their number 2 pick. Whichever is you's ready.
I got my number 2. I feel pretty confident in this. I know the line has moved 2 points.
Mike, you feel confident in all your picks, Mike.
Listen, the fucking Seattle Seahawks, even with fucking a backup, with their backup quarterback for the Rams, I like the Rams plus 6.5. Seattle ain't 6.5 points better than anybody. They have nothing to play for. They have to be absolutely decimated, right? And the Rams, they're starting Jimmy G because they still think they could win with him and still get that 3 seed, and they could rest their quarterback. I think the Rams are coming to play in the game, that they still want that 3 seed, and I think that they're only resting a couple players, and Seattle, after being knocked out, and the way they played last week, I don't see, even with the backups, I don't think that they're 6.5 points better than the Rams. Give me the Rams at home plus 6.5.
You know, Mike, I think it's interesting. I really want to hear Woodley's take on this. I'm kind of excited. Give us Woodley.
I agree, but I agree, but Mike is wrong on a few things. They're benching everybody. It's not just Stafford. It's like Kupp's not playing, Williams isn't playing, Puka is not playing. I mean, it's going to be a pretty bare bones team. Jimmy G is solid. Like Jimmy G has motivation there. Seattle has a lot to play for, actually. Like Geno has I think a couple million in incentives that he can hit with like passing yards and stuff, and that it's just, for me, it's probably like I'll take the Rams. I'm not gonna bet it because these are games I don't touch. Like it's too hard to figure it out, right? Like I'm not gonna pretend to know enough about like
I
backups
agree,
and
but
shit like that. But yeah, but Seattle is kind of decimated there. I think they'll put up points. I think Jimmy G is going to come out flinging it. Like, there's like Whittington and these other receivers and stuff on the Rams. Like, what I want to say though is I think Sean McVay is an idiot for doing this, for like benching these guys. Like,
absolutely agree.
I mean, getting like the 3 seed over the 4 seed is it's
massive.
So much more important. Let me pull up the matchups right here right now.
Please.
Like
You'd play the Commanders.
If they got the 3 seed, they're at home either way, win or lose, right? But they would be at home against the Commanders, right? Yeah, now there's no home field advantage ever for the Rams, but they would at least be going against a rookie quarterback on the road.
No, there's a home field advantage. Weather's a big thing,
Yeah, well, I mean No, but I'm
Especially in playoffs,
I'm
there's
talking
more-
about
there's
true.
more
The Rams. But the
playoff
Rams. There's no
home field
there's
advantage.
more. But there's more like opposing fans there is what I'm saying. It's not like an intimidating place to play. But like for that they would get Washington. Now if they lose, and to be clear, like Washington would also have to lose. Not Washington, Tampa or whatever. But the Rams like should be trying. I think actually if the Rams won this week, no matter what, I think they hold on to the 3 spot actually. So they should be trying to win.
That's
and
why
they
I
would
like
go
them,
against
so.
Washington. Now, if they lose, there's actually a really good chance they get jumped by either Tampa or Atlanta. It doesn't even matter because they should try to win. Then their first round is at home against whoever loses the Detroit and Minnesota game. And then if they win that game, if they somehow win that game, they go to the winner of that game, right? So it's insane. Like, who would you rather face in your first 2 games?
God,
Home
that's a
versus
massive
Washington?
swing. You're either going to host Detroit or Minnesota, both 14-2, or you get to host Washington.
So you're sure about that?
With a rookie quarterback.
You're
that's
sure
what it is.
that Tampa
I'm positive.
holds the tiebreaker over the Rams? I wasn't sure about that. Okay.
Yeah, they can't lock it in. It's like if Tampa wins
They
and the
best they
Rams
get us a
lose,
4.
and Tampa's going to win. Tampa's like 14 points. So it's just I think it's a million times worse than what Campbell's doing.
I think
Like,
it's insane.
I get that I get that you want to say you're not ducking anybody, but like
They're not ducking.
their first 2 games would be at home versus Washington, and then maybe at Philly. But here's the even more insane thing, right? If they're at home and they beat Washington and the Packers go to Philly and beat Philly, which is a very real possibility, then I think the Rams would be the second highest seed. They would get a second home game. But now if they get the 4th seed, they're not at home. Like they're going to Minnesota and Detroit. So they'd have to beat Minnesota and Detroit back to back versus Washington and either maybe Philly or like someone else.
I think it's crazy.
I don't get it. Maybe he's playing like, is there a chance he just like throws his starters out there at like halftime or something? I don't know. I mean, I don't think
you can bluff that in today's with all the gambling going on. I don't think you can bluff it, but
Christian McCaffrey.
It depends what the starters like. I just think that they're gonna, they have a great defense. They're not gonna be resting their whole defense. I don't think Seattle's 6.5 point better than their backups. I told you all year what I thought of Seattle. I just think being out of the playoffs, I don't think they're going to come with any energy, and I think it's going to be a low scoring game, like 10-9. And I'll give me the points.
A classic Seattle.
Cantu?
I'll pass for right now. Give me a second. I was looking up a stat.
I'm just going to say it's kind of a hard game to handicap, these Week 18 games, man. And I don't know if we're going to have a chance to talk about some of these games. And I just tell you,
you got to really be.
I really have to mention this because I wrote this up in the intro, and I just wanted to say that there's a game no one wants to win: Buffalo Bills at New England Patriots. The Patriots don't want to win because if they win, they lose their number 1 pick. They're
and
locked
if you
into
listen
the
to
number
Drake
1 pick.
May and you listen to them saying we're all out to win this game. And I think they're going to try, and I think I kind of like New England in the game.
Okay, but anyway,
I guess
I brought that up as a game hopefully we don't talk about, but it's a little harder. But I think I'm going to have to go with the Rams, Mike. That 6.5 is a lot of points, and the defense is pretty tough, and they do have something to play for. They have something big to play for, and I don't know. So I'm going to take the points as well. I'm also looking at the performance of Seattle last week. They scored 6 points.
Yeah. Well,
and you look at the last 4 or 5 games. Oh, give me the Rams also plus 6.5. All right. Now, Cantu, if you don't have anything to say.
Seahawks, I'm going to take the Seahawks on 6.5. With the Seahawks really hate the Rams, and they just can't get over how they can't ever beat them. Another thing I talk about them holding over. I think they're going to try really hard, and the Rams are going to try hard with their backups, but I don't think it'll be enough. That's my guess. I don't know exactly who's playing, who's not, so I'm not going to be an expert on that one.
Woodley, first of all, give me your number 2 pick.
Yeah, and then after this, we should talk about the other. There's like 2 or 3 other games that actually have like real playoff importance.
Yeah.
But I'm going to talk about one of them, and Chiefs 10.5 at Denver. Again, this is like a very this is a very important game. Like Denver win and in. Obviously the Chiefs are resting everybody. I think they're resting Kelsey. I know they're resting Mahomes. And
I listened to what Carson Wentz said. Carson Wentz said, I'm playing for a contract next year. This is my game. I'm coming out to win.
So
I believe that.
Exactly.
I do believe that too.
Yeah, exactly. And it's I'm not sure they'll win, but they'll play them tough. And the Chiefs defense, I mean, in these games, like you still rest everybody, but you can't. I don't think you can rest like every single player.
You can only sit 7 players. You can only sit.
Yeah.
Everybody else has to suit up.
Is that an NFL rule?
Yeah.
Yes, and everybody else has to suit up.
Since when? When was that?
I don't know. I heard that yesterday.
Oh, you're saying they have to suit up. Oh,
he's
okay. You didn't
suit up. Yeah. You can still have them. You can still have them on the bench, but like these rosters aren't that deep, and like they don't want to put like certain guys in situations too. To
you
like
can't play somebody every down. Yeah. I mean, they're gonna have to use
and like
players.
rookies and backups. So the defense will still be okay. It's like they're obviously going to miss Mahomes, but like they'll miss some of the people on the defense. But like, who else are they really going to miss this year? I mean, or this game? It's like Kelsey hasn't been like a world beater. These other tight ends will play. They've been okay. Like the receivers have been dog shit, other than like Worthy.
And it's a division game, and they can. Don't think they don't want to knock Denver out of the playoffs. They're not worried about
they're rivals.
Cincinnati.
They're rivals. It's 10.5 is way too much, and they're going to come out there and like the Chiefs have like a million receivers. Like I don't know if Hollywood Brown's going to play, but they might want to think about.
They
playing
need to get him.
Yeah,
they need to get him reps.
Yeah,
I agree.
Him like Hopkins is going to want to play.
Yeah, he needs reps. He needs reps.
Wentz, it's just too many points. I
agree.
I think Denver wins, but it's too many. Like
that was almost my second pick. I went with the Rams instead, but yeah.
Plus, going like don't. There's something there too about, obviously nobody's had a perfect season except the Dolphins, but like, the Chiefs could go 17-1 in this 16-1 in the regular season and then win 3. So they could go 19-1. Like that'd be, I think, tied for the best season of all time, or maybe the second best season of all time.
18,
so like
18-1 was the best.
There's things that play.
Okay,
There. So
I like that pick. I'm gonna take the Chiefs plus 10.5 myself. I mean, their defense, even if they lose 3 or 4 of their starters, that defense has been incredible. They are going to be trying their hardest, and there's some other reasons why they should be trying their hardest. So I think they're smart to rest some people. Obviously, they need to do that. But it's also interesting because you hear Harbaugh, you hear Belichick, you hear all these coaches, when you hear Dan Campbell saying, hey, we are going to play our starters in a meaningless game. Belichick came and agreed with him. Harbaugh came and agreed with him. And that's one of the games we'll talk about
and the reason why, and I didn't realize this, when you prepare a team for the week, you can't just throw in backups because you already have, and Ben said this too, and I didn't realize that because people are, they have a plan, they have exactly what they're going to do. You can't just say, here, you guys are out, you guys are in. You just can't do it.
Ben Jerusalem is on our text stream, a guy we love and respect his opinion. Okay, so that makes 3 of us at like the 10.5, can't you?
Yeah, I like the Chiefs at 10.5.
Okay, hold on, Cantu, and Nick, hold on. I want, first of all, this is our second consensus pick. We all like the Chiefs plus 10.5. Continue, Cantu.
I like that one a little, but what I really like, bonus pick is coming in. I like the Chiefs money line plus 450. I really think they're going to come out and really play hard. Just kind of what we've been talking about, the backups. I really believe in Andy Reid. I've said it all year. I don't think the Broncos are that good, and they've kept proving me wrong all year. So my compass has been a little off on them, but I still like the plus 450. I like that a lot better than the side. So I think we got a big upset brewing, and it's just going to open it up, and it's going to get a little fun whether the Dolphins or the Bengals get in.
Hey, the only thing that scares me is this line had moved back to 9.5 yesterday, and then now it moved back over the threshold back to 10.5, and like that's the only thing that scares me because that's sharp money. That's not fucking square.
So you
money.
think all the sharps are betting?
Yeah, they moved it. They moved it today from 9.5 to 10.5. That's the only thing.
Which means what?
I don't know. The Sharps will lose every game. So
this year they did. This year,
I follow them and they never win a game. What do I know?
Yeah, but the Sharps moving it from 9.5 to 10.5 means they like what side, Mike?
They like Denver.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Listen, guys. So now we need to talk about a few. Now, Woodley, is there a game you wanted to throw out there? Can we? I think the Chargers.
Pick
Go ahead.
Well, let me throw my second pick out there. In honor.
No, you already gave your second pick. You gave Cincinnati.
That was my first pick.
That was his first pick.
Yeah, go ahead.
No.
I'm sorry.
No, you're good.
Because then I agreed with you. Snap agreed with you and took it as my second pick. Sorry. Go ahead, Kent.
Pick in honor of the Browns jersey. And since we've been talking, the line has now moved from plus 20 to plus 20.5. The hook. I like the Browns. This divisional game, I mean, 20.5 points. That is just
not me.
I mean, that is
a
lot.
We should spend
Did you see that quarterback last week? Like he was throwing the ball to nobody.
Yeah, they are decimated.
Mike, you're going to lay the 20.5?
I sure wouldn't take it. Ben made a great point. He's like, listen, Mike, he goes, I know you're going to think I'm crazy here. He's like, but take $165,000 and bet it on the Ravens. It's a free $10,000.
I know.
He's like on the money line. He's like, there's zero chance the Ravens lose this game. And you know what? I agree with him, but I'm not going to put up $165,000 and 10. But if you really think about it, it's 10% on your money. Where in the world can you just pick up 10% on your money?
I was there. Mike, you and I were around when the gamblers all laid 32-1 on the Tyson fight. He was locked to win.
But he's right.
Well,
there's no way the Ravens lose this
Just
game.
to let you know, it's moved way more since it's probably been moved a field goal since then. It's now minus 2,400. You'd have to lay 240,000.
Wow.
You got to lay 240 to win 10.
It was 165. It was 165.
You know who's going to do that? Fezzik 1,000% will do that.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
that's
he
what
probably
feeds his followers. Yeah.
He'll count it as his. He'll count it.
Hey
as
guys,
his
I
big
won
win.
my under second half of the Notre Dame game. They got the kickoff back, and they still found a way to
Mike,
go under.
well, what do you? You're not even supposed to be watching a game.
It's more
unbelievable.
interesting than this one. I don't know. I don't care about this one. I mean, this is such a terrible game to have on like a primetime night. I guess I know why they're doing. I guess I know it's important. You know what though? It's funny because there's this MVP and
yeah, he's gonna try
the MVP discussion.
He's gonna want to pad his stats. I know it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like Allen should win it, right? But Lamar's right there, and like Allen should have won it like a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever. When Lamar won it, like Lamar like puts up these monster games against these like shitty teams, and I'm not.
And they're going to do it again. They're going to run it up, and they're going to want to give him the MVP.
He's going to do it. He wants to get him the third MVP, which puts him in like an extremely rare company. These fucking idiot voters might actually like fall for it because they are idiots. Like, let's be very clear on that.
I agree.
And
so it's
going
to be like 42-3.
I'm not going to really watch or do it, but like for the sake of this podcast, I'll take the Ravens just because it's funny.
Me too.
Hey, this is a standalone. This is a standalone primetime Saturday, 1:30 Pacific.
Cantu, thank you for interjecting and choosing the game no one will watch. All right, what do you got for us, Woodley?
It's a lone game. You have to watch it. What do you get?
No, we're not. There's no way.
Well, then I'll probably have to.
Yeah, I bet you are.
Woodley, bring us a real game, Woodley.
Okay, well, let's take a look.
Well, there's a couple. I mean, there's a couple that we didn't touch on that have important seedings, and maybe we just do like quick ones here, right?
The Chargers maybe.
Yeah, Washington at Dallas. I think it's like 5.5 or 6.
5.5, 6. They're up to 6.
Yeah, so
now.
Washington. I like Washington. I think the Cowboys. I like Washington because it's very important for them to win. And I think I think now that they shut down Lamb, like. I was shocked with how bad Dallas looked last week, but here's what happened: is I think they played really, really hard and they saved McCarthy's job, or they did everything they could to save his job. And now I think they're just like, okay, we've saved his job, let's just go get to the off season. So I like Washington in that.
Me too.
Okay, so I love Washington in this game. I see it's moved to 6 at some places.
It is. It's 6.
I think you can still get it at 5.5. So I'm going to take the benefit of the doubt here. I love Washington in this game. It is a division game, but one team has something to play for, and the other team has nothing.
And it's a revenge
to play for.
game. Dallas went into Washington and fucking really made them look
Good
bad.
point, Mike. Good point.
You know?
I almost made this my number 2 pick. So I love Washington. Woodley loves Washington. Mike loves Washington. Cantu?
Not so fast. I like Dallas. I like Dallas plus 6.5. It's actually, you can get plus 6.5 minus reduced juice at Caesar. So there's a wide margin. Meaning
we'll give you 6.5. Go ahead.
Meaning the books are all over the place. It's a shop around game. I like Dallas. I think McCarthy and Jerry Jones, everybody's not the smartest. They're going to try to win. You shouldn't be trying to win, but
I just wanted to point this out that the game that I was getting 1 point on with the Jets is now a pick'em and minus 109, 107 Jets.
So if you didn't just immediately lay it, you get an extra. That's
okay, what are you thinking, Woodley? What do you think? Is there anything else? I'm trying to look around the schedule. It does look like I thought the Chargers game mattered. They're coming into Vegas.
It does, but the Raiders hate them, and they've won 2 straight. The Raiders just played their best game of the year. They're trying to save the coach's job, and they're playing hard.
The Raiders are playing hard,
and they're at home. They've won 2 in a row. It's plus 4.5 minus $1.14, so it's closer to 4.
It matters, and it doesn't matter is one of those, because I think they're in the.
But Harbaugh's already said he's gonna play to win, right?
Of course he is.
Oh yeah, they want to get the 6th seed. Oh well, they can still. Let me look at this. They could still, in theory, get the. They could get the 5 seed actually. Okay, so here's what happens if Denver wins, Chargers win, and Cincy wins over Pittsburgh, which is very realistic. Then Los Angeles has the 5 seed. And they go to Houston. And I think if they lose, let me see if they lose here. And it's a bit opposite. I think if they lose, Denver wins. But if they lose, they go down. Okay, they stay the 6. All right. So they could get the 5. I thought maybe they could go down to the 7 and go at Buffalo, which they want to do. But yeah, they can get the 5.
Wait, who do they play in the 6, Woodley?
Who do they play in the 6?
The Ravens.
Barring Mike's infinite money glitch, never could go wrong thing going wrong, they would play
Other
the
than him laying
Ravens,
a
unless the
$250,000.
Ravens-
Oh my God! The
Unless-
difference is going to Houston or the Ravens, a win.
Yeah, well, that's why I like
Yeah.
Pittsburgh so much because they want the 5 seed and they want to
Well,
play.
So I
Houston.
love the Chargers in this
They'll
game.
know. They'll know. But the problem is they'll know, right? Because if Pittsburgh wins, Pittsburgh locks up the 5. So going into Sunday,
right.
I would just say wait till Sunday.
Yeah,
Because
that
going
one
into
we have to
Sunday,
wait.
They
That's
have,
true.
They have the
If
6.
Pittsburgh
I mean,
wins,
it's huge.
If Pittsburgh wins, I'm
it's
going to bet
meaningless
big on
game.
the Chargers.
Why? It's meaningless.
I mean,
It's the
no, if they
opposite.
lose,
Yeah,
if they lose, I'm going to bet
it's
big. on the
meaningless.
Chargers.
Yeah.
This game, I'll make some sense of this for you guys. It's meaningless. Yeah, because if you're looking at it,
Pittsburgh
if you're
wins.
looking at it from like the Raiders don't need to win, they should be trying to lose. But let me tell you, Antonio Pierce is going to be trying to win. I actually think he's coaching for his job this week. I think if he wins, he might be able to save his job. And I want to say this about Antonio Pierce. He's a guy I actually like Antonio
God.
Pierce as a defensive coordinator. I would love to have a beer with Antonio Pierce. I would not like him to be my NFL head coach. With that said, I think the Chargers do cover the 4, but I think it's a very big game for his job, which it shouldn't be.
So
Yeah. If Steelers
just-
win,
and Phil
I
likes
think
the
they're going to
Chargers.
rest a lot of players. If Steelers win.
yeah,
Steelers.
I think so too. There's another big one too winning in. It's Tampa.
Oh, yeah.
Tampa, but I think they're playing someone dog shit. And I
Yeah,
think
they're
there's
14
like 13 or
they're
something.
14 over like the worst team in the league.
Tampa Bay's 13.5 over the Saints at home. Now, I don't know, guys. Was there another game
Yes.
worth discussing,
Yes.
Woodley?
Here's a game I want to point
they have
out.
to
Can't
they
do.
have
Don't
to
tell
win-
us
they
the
have to
Cleveland
win that
Browns,
game.
so please.
They have to win, but the Tampa has to win
No,
that game.
I have,
mean,
I have a question of a game. Mike's Titans, we all know his favorite team. If you watch the first 8-9 weeks of this podcast, Mike's Titans
fucking
are
terrible.
favorites against Houston. So is Houston not playing for anything? Are they reporting?
No,
to
they have
favorites?
they have nothing to play for. But I think
Okay,
that they've been
never
so bad that I think that the Shroud's going to play at least the first half. Like they got to get something going. Their offense is a disaster. I was a little shocked. Like I know they're resting some players, but Shroud I know is playing the first half, and I'm a little shocked that they got to get they can't just rest people. They've been terrible.
I'll take
Like,
I'll still
everybody
take the
just
Texans.
hurts.
I'll take the Texans plus 1.5.
No,
I
he's
hate
hurt.
the Titans.
I don't think Stroud's playing, dude. Like
Yeah,
they're already kind of making the
yeah,
excuses. They're
yeah, I
saying
don't
he's
think he is
hurt.
either.
Like I don't think he's.
I don't think he
he's
is
gonna play.
either.
Who's their backup? Davis Mills still.
I don't know, but he's got to be better than what
No,
Shroud's
Mason
been the last
Rudolph.
4 weeks.
Oh
No,
Rudolph's for
sorry,
Titans.
the Titans. I'm sorry, I was thinking Titans.
I think it's Mills.
I
I
actually
think it's
think
Mills.
it is still Mills. He's been there forever. He had no reason to
So
talk
right now,
about
the
it.
Houston's
why are we talking
Houston's
about
just
the
to
Why are we
let everybody
talking
know,
about this
Houston's
game?
playing at Tennessee, and right now they're plus 1.5. Sorry.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you guys a question, and I kind of agree with what they did. And what is your take? I think that Philly made a great decision to rest Barkley and not go for the record. What's your guys' take?
Agree. You got to play for the team.
Clearly, you got to play for the team.
I mean, people are arguing like it's taking away from the NFL. It's unfair. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, without Barkley, if he goes down,
Mike,
ankle,
let me ask
they're
you one
dead.
question, Mike. Let me ask you one question.
Sure.
Okay. Does the NFL own the Philadelphia Eagles?
No.
but
They
they
don't.
don't win.
So,
But the people,
I
I'm talking
mean,
about the fans. If you've been watching Twitter, they're all up in arms over
How
it.
about
And I'm-
this? I was up in arms last week that Barkley got 31 carries. 31
Well,
carries.
they wanted to get him over the 2,000
I
yards
know,
so they could rest
I
him this
know,
week.
but that's still a lot of miles. I mean, yeah, he must. You have to be just hurt. And once you get 30 plus carries in an NFL game,
it's
that
so
is-
obvious. Like these teams, each win is worth like X dollars to an NFL team. I think it's like 12 million. There's a number out there. You can find it on the internet. And so each win's worth like $12 million. And so they got to win. You want to try to win a Super Bowl, or you want to try to block for a guy so he can get a record. So I think you play for the Super Bowl.
I agree. And there's
Running
one
backs
game.
get injured. Running backs get injured more than any
Yeah.
other position too. I mean, there's just like a million. Like if it's
How stupid would they feel if he gets to
receiver.
80 yards and he gets injured, Woodley, like you said?
Yeah.
how many
No,
games
yeah,
has he
even
missed
like a
due to
minor
injury
tweak.
too?
I mean, even like a minor tweak. I mean, running backs are always banged up. I mean, even like Aaron Jones going to this game, he's questionable. He's going to play. They get banged up all the time, like hamstrings, all that. Like if it's a receiver, like receivers are usually It takes a lot to, yeah. Let's put it this way, right? If he was a receiver going for the record, I think you start him because you can protect receivers in that. You just don't throw it over.
And another thing, it's 101 yards. If it was like 40 yards, I could see going for the record. Like he could play and not get 101 yards. It's not. It's hard to, you know what I'm saying?
It's not a real record, anyways, because it's 17 games. Like that's the other part of it too. Like if you wanted the record, he should have gotten it last week. So it's smart.
One other game we didn't talk about, and I fucking hate Atlanta because the coach last week didn't call fucking timeout, and it cost me my season total of going over 9.5. But like Atlanta, they could say that they're going to still play hard because Tampa Bay could lose but Tampa Bay can't lose to all those backups on the Saints. Like the way Atlanta lost last week, like can they really lay 8.5? Carolina, yeah, they got blown out last week, but they've been playing hard every week. Like, can you really lay 8.5 with Atlanta?
I like Carolina getting 8.5. I'm on your side, Mike.
It's crazy. That one almost seems too obvious.
It seems too obvious.
I was actually looking this up. I'm like, are they benching someone?
Nobody.
Is Carolina is
consensus
Carolina
pick, Danny?
hurt?
Write it down. A late consensus
Very
pick,
late.
but we like it so much that we're wondering.
I just think that the team has got to be so decimated the way they lost last week.
Oh yeah, that was
knowing
bad.
that they had the playoffs in their fucking grasp.
Penix didn't look that good either. Like Penix actually doesn't. I know
think
he's
he
a
missed
rookie,
bad.
but like
I
all
didn't
this.
think
He
looked
played
bad.
fine.
I
He missed
think he
3
looked
throws.
bad.
He missed 3 big throws. 3 big throws he missed. That's a lot.
It is a lot. But he didn't. I don't think he looked bad. Like I wasn't like.
I didn't think he looked bad.
I didn't think he looked bad. And it was first off, it was
the
the second start of the season too. Let's be a little.
The throw on the tying touchdown was really good to London.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
you
got a rookie quarterback.
That was fourth down. That was fourth down.
He just drove him right down the field. I mean, Penix.
That was 4th and 12. That was 4th and 12. That was a brutal loss for them.
Everyone came out and was like claiming he's like. Everybody was like after the first week or two, oh, he's like the savior, he's like the real deal, and all this, and like maybe it's not even the QB position. Maybe it's just like Atlanta's just a terribly coached team.
They are, and hey, since this is the last week of the podcast, can we have? I mean, the last week of the regular season. Okay. I'm saying like. Should we make predictions of what coaches are going to be fired? Which ones are 50-50 or which ones for sure are getting fired?
Mike, give us your coach right now that's going to for sure be fired.
So we already know that the Jaguars coach 100% is fired. That we all can agree on. There's like 0 chance he's not fired.
Yep.
But I'm going
What's his name, Mike?
The guy that used to coach Philly.
Doug Peterson.
Doug Peterson. He's gone. Okay, but
I didn't think he was a great game manager. I thought he was a horrible game manager, by the way.
But I'm going to go on the limb here, and I really think I'm right here. And there's a few others that I like, but you guys can bring them up, and we can agree or not agree. But I think Raheem Morris for Atlanta is getting fired, especially the way he ended that game with the timeouts. That's not the first time he's done it. He gave away the fucking Charger game. He gave this game away. He's not a good head coach. He's a defensive coordinator. I think Atlanta fires him.
I don't agree there. I think it's just the reason I don't agree is it's his first year of his deal. He's taken over.
No, it's not
for Arthur Smith.
This is his second year, dude.
No, this is his first year.
This is his second year, dude.
Arthur Smith, he took over in the last
Arthur Smith coached last year.
This is his second year.
Every day in our group chat.
This is his second year, bro.
Okay, look it up, Mike, please, before if you're right.
Mike is arguing that 1 + 1 is 4 again.
Okay, I'll
we're
bet.
all saying no, it's not.
Bet?
Hey, Woodley, let me show you my shirt, Woodley. My wife loves this shirt. It's a Aria shirt. It's like it's a T-shirt. For some reason, she just loves it.
The retro.
And
the retro
Woodley,
look.
come on! I want to see your shirt, Woodley. Please stand up. I want to see both sides.
I know
Show
you
it.
want to see it. It's your boy. It's next year's Super Bowl winning quarterback, JJ McCarthy.
Oh, I'm glad that I asked you because I want to ask you this, Woodley. I read yesterday that basically they were looking to trade McCarthy because they're going to sign Darnold. Did you read that?
Colin Cowherd, I thought predicted that. Was that? I don't think they would leak that this time.
There's a lot. I mean, it's a big. And first of all,
wow.
Guys,
I was wrong. You guys were right.
Thank you, Mike.
He got
no shit, Mike.
Yeah, there's not a single person in Minnesota that's gonna be like leaking anything right now. Like they're not having that conversation right now. Like why would they? They're playing for a fucking Super Bowl. I don't think it's gonna happen though, and there's a few reasons. And I know you're gonna. Oh, you're hypocritical. You said Darnold's.
Oh, we
yeah,
can't wait
Darnold's
to hear
been
what
playing
you have
great.
to say. Woodley, go.
No, I think again. I think moving forward, Darnold's like a top 10 quarterback. I would not give him. If I were the Vikings and I'm set up now, they have $90 million in cap space, right? They purposely moved on from Kirk Cousins, not because Kirk wasn't good. They said, you know what? Like we need a little bit of cap space and we need to do this. So they were able to save like $25 million in cap space. And what did they do with that money? They went out and got 2 Pro Bowl starting linebackers. They got another guy that should be how
about the left tackle? When you lost your best left tackle, they replaced him, and he's been great.
Yeah,
the replacement.
Yeah. So they got a really good GM there, right? And O'Connell is like a QB whisperer, and I think Darnold is now fixed. I think he's going to be a great quarterback elsewhere. Someone's going to give him $50 million a year. I don't think it should be the Vikings. I think the Vikings have way too many weapons and way too much of a support system. The
Vikings are signing him. Everything I've already said. They're resigning him.
They trust what they did with McCarthy, right? And I think what's going to happen is now if Darnold wins the Super Bowl, kind of all bets are off because it'd be really crazy to let him go. Right. But I think there's 2 paths forward. And in both paths, they're going to franchise him, right? So when you franchise him, he either comes back on a 1-year, $40 million deal, which is a lot of money, but in theory, you can have JJ still there. He can play in another year or so. But I think what really happens is they franchise him. They give him like the non-exclusive one or whatever, where another team can come in and offer him a contract. And then that team has to trade a couple picks. Now, I've been looking into this. I know sometimes it's like 2 first-rounders. Sometimes it's like a couple second-rounders. Someone's going to give up a couple picks to get Darnold because there's a lot of QB out there. So I think what they're going to do, I think
Darnold's going to be the quarterback next year. I'm positive.
They should let Darnold walk. They should get a couple picks, and they're going to have JJ McCarthy on this rookie deal. And then they still have a plan B because they already have Daniel Jones signed up for next year as well. I think they're going to fix Daniel Jones. So JJ McCarthy plus an extra $45 million plus a couple extra picks with this team that is young and has all this cap space. Like it's going to be McCarthy.
I'm going to comment on this, Woodley.
They're not going to trade McCarthy.
I'm going to comment on this. It's very interesting.
This guy
to me.
owns the locker room, dude. They love him. They're never letting him go, dude.
It's very interesting to me, this concept of a quarterback whisperer. And that's what Harbaugh did with Smith all those years ago. Now Harbaugh has another great quarterback. And so I do think there's something to that. And so I think your theory holds a little more validity because maybe, just maybe, he can fix Daniel Jones.
But they have McCarthy too. I mean, they love McCarthy. Like everything they said about McCarthy this preseason and everything. And I know it's like everybody, it's always glowing praises with the rookies, but by all accounts, like McCarthy looks great. And like what everything that's come out, they're like, if McCarthy stayed in Michigan this year or has come out this year, he could be the clear number 1 pick in the draft. Well, the Vikings know that too. Like, why does that only matter for the other teams? Like, the Vikings know what they have here. And for them to have a quarterback that, and the thing is, he doesn't have to be as good as Darnold this year. He just has to be somewhere like not terrible because they're going to save $45 million.
The Vikings are playing for Super Bowls now, Woodley. I mean, they're 14-2. You don't start thinking about, hey, I need someone who's just this much better who can get me to the first or second round of the playoffs.
If they really believe that Darnold's a superstar, like Woodley's been saying, there's zero chance they let him go. They'll trade McCarthy. They'll trade McCarthy for a first and a third, but they're not going to let. They're not going to let a fucking superstar go. If they really believe that this guy has turned the page and he's become a superstar, there's zero chance they don't re-sign him.
I agree.
Zero.
Well, let me be clear on something. I think in the NFL, I think if you don't have a legitimate, like, for a fact this guy is top
that's what I'm
4 or
saying.
5 quarterback,
If they really believe
I think you need to let him. I think you need to let him walk. I think he's like top 10. I think he's kind of on that cut line, right? Of like guys you probably shouldn't give all that money to if you want to win a Super Bowl. I think like Dak is right there. Okay. I think Trevor Lawrence is like way down here. Phil's going to be like, well, what are you talking? But like, I think even Herbert is the line, right? And it's going to be very It's going to be very interesting to see if Miami or the Chargers can ever win with those quarterbacks. I don't think Miami ever.
No, Woodley, what I find entertaining
and I want to talk on this too.
On the one hand, Woodley talks about like Darnold's a superstar. But now that he's talking about making decisions for the future, Woodley's like, well, maybe he's a top 10 quarterback.
Exactly.
I mean,
he's been like top 5. He's top 5. That's all I heard. He's top 5.
He is. And
stop.
Well, if he's top 5, like they've got to resign him.
This year, he's top 5.
This year, top 5. I said moving forward, top 10. And the whole Love versus Darnold debate isn't about Darnold being like this sure thing superstar moving forward. I think he's like a fringe Pro Bowler moving forward, like top 10. But that's where I think Love is too. I think Love is right there too. I think you guys, I wouldn't have gave Love the money either, and I think time will tell on that. But like that's it. Like you gave Love $55 million a year for like 10 games, and I don't think the Vikings are going to do that same thing because they don't need to, because they have Love in JJ McCarthy. They have their future.
Here's the answer to this question: if they can get
you
Darnold,
hated that draft pick,
you,
by
Mike.
the way. You hated McCarthy.
I personally hated McCarthy.
I didn't hate him. I love
Woodley
him. Are
liked
you
it.
kidding me? Like I bought this. I bought this.
Okay,
jersey.
Okay, let me make sense of what they should do. They should, if they can get him at the 35 million or under, which I don't know that they can. I think you would do. He's a snap like buy.
I would do it.
The thing is that what the Vikings are going to have and what they're going to really be showing is their business model. Do you want to be Kirk Cousins and suck and be benched and get to realize your whole career was made off Jefferson, Addison, and Hawkinson?
Yeah.
Or,
Exactly.
and you could sit there and you can play maybe the next 10 years in Minnesota, maybe more, 5, 10 plus years. You could sit there, be a star. You're going to be a quarterback. They're always going to make you look good with the behind the head catches. I really think if you're Darnold, I would do anything I could. I would take a discount to stay. Darnold has known what it's like.
Darnold's younger. Darnold's
younger
younger than like half the quarterbacks in the league. Like he's like, who's the one quarterback he's younger than that's like that came out?
Are they the same age, Love and Darnold?
Yeah, they're like the same age.
He's the same age.
Same age as like
he's
Shroud,
the same age as
right?
Love, yeah.
So
he's the same age as Love. But so here's the thing.
One second. Let me just
He's young. He's 6 months younger than Pennis. He's 6 months younger than Pennis. I know that.
There's a number I would keep him at. There's a number if it's 35 million, yes, but like if it's 50, 55 million. And I'm a huge believer in McCarthy too, and that's what it has to do with more than anything. Is I think McCarthy comes in here and is an absolute stud because I trust the GM, I trust the coach. The coach loves him.
Go ahead, Cantu.
What has O'Connell done?
I'm in the middle of my point here. So here's the thing: what is McCarthy making a year? He's even making $10 million a year.
No, it's a rookie quarterback.
5, yeah. So you could sit here for the next 3 years. You can take McCarthy at $5 million instead of paying him maybe 40 or 50. That's a big discount. More offensive line help, more weapons. Somehow you can get him more weapons to make up. That's a lot of money. You can get
if he gets that team to the Super Bowl, I'm sorry, McCarthy's getting traded. I don't care what anybody says. I know it. There's no way.
I don't agree,
dude. He's been great, dude. It depends. And the player, like I was listening to this one show, and they're 100% right. It's hard for players to be all bought in behind their quarterback. You saw how they showered him last week. They love this man, okay? And think about the locker room. It would fracture the locker room if they let him go. I don't see any chance.
Solid because of that locker room is solid because of the coaching. Like they play these videos every week, and the coach owns that locker room too. They love McCarthy. If they win a Super Bowl, they're all going to get super rich, right? Like these teams turn over every year anyways. Like no team brings back all their starters. It's not that hard to win over guys. And by all
I can't take it anymore.
I know the resign. I want to make a bet that they re-signed Darnold.
Mike, I can't take it anymore. I can't talk about the Vikings anymore. I'm a Packers lover.
Should we just change this
I'm
to
a
the Vikings sports
fan.
podcast? That'd be our new name.
I cannot talk about the Vikings any longer, Woodley.
It is pretty much like one of the most incredible regular season games in history. I mean,
guys, I think I'm just going to say
really
this,
is.
and you can keep this in here, Danny. To me, this was the best podcast we've ever done. So we're finding our way. Cantu, please don't sabotage the podcast. Woodley, stop quitting the fucking podcast. Mike, if you want to take your headphones off and slam them down and quit, that's okay with us. But just make sure you're back in 10 minutes. Okay?
Oh, wait, there's something. This is important. Something we haven't talked about, which is very important.
Look at that.
That's
Brock
a good one.
Lesnar Vikings jersey.
Listen, we all said we were going to talk about it. Is my documentary being released on Amazon
Yes.
Prime.
Oh, yeah.
So,
why don't you start the show with that, Mike?
Congratulations, Mike. Everybody would clap for that. Documentary.
Let me just say this.
We really should.
Only on Amazon can you find Mattisau, the documentary. Okay.
MATUSOW.
$2.99. That's a good bargain. I wanted Mike getting $3.99.
Or you can buy it. I bought it for $9. But right now, the poker world loves this documentary about Mike the Mouth. I bought it right away. And of course, it makes me look good. But there's a little controversy between Mike and his brother and his mother. And
Can't
We
you?
all
Have
have
you
that
seen
in
it
our
yet?
families.
I haven't. I might watch it tonight.
Okay.
I might watch it
I have.
tonight.
It's good. It's good, man.
And I want to
like
tell you
it. I
guys,
think it-
if you're going to watch this documentary to the people at home, and you really should watch it.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
called
going to for
Madisau.
sure this week.
Make sure you comment, because Mike needs to get 100 different people.
No. I need ratings. I just need ratings and review.
Oh,
You need the ratings.
okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, please.
And I'm going right now to Amazon, Mike, and I'm gonna look this up right now, and I'm gonna show the people, since you're not smart enough to have this out and up and ready. I got you. Madisau. There it is, guys, at Amazon and Amazon Prime. Madisau, the documentary, and it's really good. I mean, it's really fun to watch. It's behind the scenes World Series of Poker. It's about Mike's life, his struggle to reach the Poker Hall of Fame, which it looked like he was a lock to do, but now he needs to put another bracelet up maybe. And but Mike should be there anyway, just because not every poker player is there just for poker. But there's a lot of talk on it, and there's a lot of interesting stuff in Mike's lives and our lives. Mike, that podcast is fantastic. I mean,
you.
your movie's fantastic.
Woodley, you saw it?
Yeah, it's
You
good.
like it?
It's great. I mean, it's
Thank you.
I mean, we
Appreciate
we talk to you like every day, right? So
Yeah.
it's like, it's
Yeah,
it's
that's
funny, right? Because you have to like put yourself in the shoes of like someone that only knows you from the poker boom, right? Like
Yeah,
and, some of the antics and stuff that maybe hasn't kept up with you. I think for them it's like it's gonna be like really interesting. I think it's good, and I know there's like
Thank you.
conflict and stuff with like family, but that's what makes it good, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
like the conflict. I mean, that's what like makes a good documentary, right? If it was all just like
Yeah. So many people
Good.
were like wanting to put my brother bashing me out of it, but it's real. I think if you're a regular person, it shows a lot of reality. And so
well, it's a
I'm
documentary,
glad
man.
about
It's not a movie. It's a documentary. That's the thing
Yeah.
about documentaries. It's like it's real life. I mean, it kind of peels
Right.
the curtain. It's like
Your
if it's a
brother
movie,
and your
then-
relationship is very compelling to me. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
he's always like, he attacks you, but he always says, but,
Yeah.
da 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 da. And then the attacks are always kind of like, and every time he's smart. It's like he knew it was being filmed and they didn't want to pull some bullshit quote. And so, I think there's just some good natural drama in there. And so, yeah, Madisau, the documentary, it really was fantastic. And I showed up for your opening too, Mike.
Yeah, I know. Thank you, Ro. Thanks.
Are
Thank
you,
you.
Vegas.
are you going to any? Are you guys having it anywhere? Are you guys playing at any of the festivals or anything?
Yeah, he's taking it to the Cannes Film Festival in March.
Oh.
There's another festival that's going to be at the Palms
Phil will be there.
at the end of January that we're going to. So yeah, he's taking it to 2 or 3 of them. So we'll see how it goes.
Cool.
Nice.
No,
Thanks,
it's cool, man. And it's impressive to put yourself out there too. I mean, it's very. I don't know. I couldn't. I don't think most people could do it.
Yeah.
Like, there's
It's
like-
so funny.
It's tough,
Mike,
man.
Mike called me yesterday and he's like, when it comes to the new Daniel Negreanu, Amanda podcast, he's like, man, they share a lot of personal stuff. And, and I'm not sure that's a good move. And I was thinking, Mike, you shared a lot of personal stuff in
Yeah.
your own
Mike always
documentary.
shares personal stuff.
It's good
No,
for ratings. And I think Daniel and Amanda sharing their personal stuff is great for ratings and is very interesting.
No, but I mean,
So-
like we all know that I've always been the type of guy that doesn't mind things out there, and I always like to me, I just felt like that there were certain things that he wanted to just keep private. So I was just a little bit shocked that's all, But Daniel goes, he's an open guy.
Anyways, guys, I also
Yeah,
want to
it's good.
tell you,
It's-
we have a phone number. We got to get this in, guys. We want to hear from you. We want you to tell us if we're the best, the worst. We have a phone number. Write this down. 702-608-0383. Call in, leave a message. We will read it on the show. Let us know what you think of our picks, good or bad. Who's got the bad takes? Let us know. Anyways, back to where
Please call the number, because I wanna take one of those recordings and put it right on the air, especially if someone's like mad at Mike. They're like, Mike, you started the podcast 0-12. I lost my house betting your picks.
Hey, I won my top pick on the podcast last week,
Very good, Mike.
Congratulations,
and I still
Mike.
lost $12,000 on it.